Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my channel and welcome to my life. I'm Homestead Tessie, and today we are going to make a Pennsylvania Dutch food that is something that is a staple in every Pennsylvania Dutch home. I hope you stay tuned. Most Pennsylvania Dutch families have a lot of children, and they mostly lived on a farm back in the 70s. As the years grown, they did more outside work. So a lot of the Amish now have small farms, but they don't do cash farming like they used to. So you don't see the big dairy farmers like they used to be. So they have a lot of children, and you need to feed your family real frugal. Meat is very expensive. So in this recipe, I am using some really tough cuts of meat that were only a couple dollars, but if we use a crock pot, we can make that meat really tender. And they put it in a pie dough, and we're going to show you how, and I'm going to show you how you can make pie dough, and that will extend the calories, which will feed much more. So it's all about frugal feeding of a large family. Now, of course, I don't have a large family anymore, but I do have children that love to eat my food, and I see my children on a weekly basis. This recipe is coming from a relative of mine, and her name is Edna E.B. Heller. In fact, my middle name when I was adopted on my adoption papers, my birth middle name was Heller. And this is her book, and this is my favorite cookbook, all-time favorite. It is The Art of Pennsylvania Dutch Cooking. So if you're going to get a Pennsylvania Dutch cookbook, and it's authentic, and they are Pennsylvania Dutch, all the foods you're going to see are staple items that would be found in every kitchen in America and most every kitchen in Germany. They will use cheap cuts of meat. You're going to see a lot of cow's tongue or cow's liver or souse. You're going to see all of these kind of meats because they did not believe in throwing anything away. The same with scrapple. Scrapple was the organ meat of a pig because they believed in not throwing anything away. So let me show you how we're going to take some vegetables that are becoming a little bit wilted, and we're going to revive them, and we are going to make a recipe that would make Grandma Grobe proud. All right, let me show you. So this recipe is going to come in 2 installments, but of course it's going to be all in the same video. Day number 1 is we want to cook our beef stew. And then day number 2, we're going to assemble it into beef pies. Now, you can have the beef pies for your freezer, or you can have your beef pies to eat right away. I'm not sure how much this is going to make, so I'll let you know when the time comes to, and see if I'm going to freeze any of it. So the first thing we're going to do is I have potatoes and carrots already peeled and thinly sliced in small chunks. Because we're going to put this into a pie, you don't want to have big chunks of it. We're going to go ahead and drain this, and we're going to add it to a crock pot with our meat. So here's our meat. I have it marinating in a little bit of barbecue sauce, only to give it a little bit of a more flavor. So we're going to put all of our meat on the bottom of our crock pot. We're going to turn it up on high, and it's going to take a couple hours. This crock pot that I just got at the thrift store is amazing because it gets really hot. The newer crock pots take forever to heat up, but not these old ones, and I love these old ones. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to add just a can of tomato sauce. This is just plain tomato sauce. I found it in my pantry, and I thought it'd be great to use it up. So we're going to go ahead and put this on top. You wouldn't have to do any of this, but this does just give it a little bit of flavor. And then I'm going to add a little bit of brown sugar. So we'll just have a little bit of brown sugar on top as well. And that's it. That's all we're going to do to this part of it, because we want to let that cook down and cook really good. And then I'll get back to you on step 2 in making the beef pies. I'm going to probably add a little bit of dried onions. I forgot to peel an onion for this. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of dried onions and put in with this. And that way it will give the onion flavor. But of course, if you don't like onions, you can omit this. And then what we're going to do is when it's all cooked, we're going to drain it slightly. And then I found this can of beef gravy. and I'm going to add that to it just to make it a little thicker. And then we will go ahead and we will make the pie crust. The pie crust is the same pie crust that you would use if you are making a dessert pie. So it's the same crust, very simple and very easy. All right, for you guys, it's going to be just like this, and it'll be step 2. For me, it's going to be a couple hours or the next morning. So I'll see you in just a little bit. All right, everyone, we are on day 2, and that means today we are going to make the pie crust to make amazing beef pie. I have all of my ingredients together. So for the pie crust, for a 2 pastry Pennsylvania Dutch pie crust, it calls for 2 1/4 cups of regular flour, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 cup of lard. So it calls for lard. I'm going to be using bacon fat, and I always put my bacon fat in one of these shortening jars. But it is bacon fat, it is not Crisco. You can use Crisco if you want, but a nice idea, and this is something my mom always did, she saved a Crisco container, and when she would drain her fat for frying food, she would drain it into one of these. It was safe to put in one of these. She's done that for years, and so I started doing that too. So it calls for 3/4 cup of baking fat lard. You can use Crisco if you wish. And then it calls for 4 to 5 tablespoons of cold water. Now let's add it all together. Now here is my flour. It's Mark Twain's flour. It's not really Mark Twain's flour. It is just an old label that I printed out to make the jar look old-fashioned. All right, let's put everything together. Use my great-grandma's Pennsylvania Dutch rolling pin. This is from the 1800s. We are going to use this. I hardly ever use this, but I thought today would be great to use it for the Pennsylvania Dutch pie dough. Now I have 2 pieces of wax paper. For me, it is so much easier doing it this way. All right, that looks rather ugly, doesn't it? Well, let me show you what you can do. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to piece it all together. Pie crust is something you have to get used to making. It's not the easiest thing. That's why so many people buy pie crust, but they're so much better than store-bought ones. Now I'm going to go ahead and piece this all together. You won't even notice the difference when I'm done. All right, using the same bowl that we had our pie crust in, we're going to go ahead and put the beef stew in a bowl. And now we are going to add 1 can of the beef gravy. It smells absolutely delicious. We're going to go ahead and stir that really well. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and add the top crust. There you go, everyone. Is the pie. Now, it's not perfectly made, but let me tell you what, it tastes amazing, the beautiful beef stew. And also with the bacon in the pie crust, it's going to be amazing. We're going to bake this at 375 for about 25 to 30 minutes. When the pie crust is brown, it will be done. I don't need to make a slit in the top because there are slits on the side that will be able to let all the juices go. Because this is a full pie, I am going to be baking it on a pie sheet. That way it won't spill onto the oven. All right, I'll show you what it looks like and how it tastes when we're done. All right, and the pie is finished. And this is what it looks like. Isn't it amazing? Take a look at that. A really good, amazing homemade beef pie. Yum, yum.